Hello everyone, this is Fabian from Oblivion Comics, and this is going to be the first in a series of me showing you the artwork for Psychic Revolution, Volume 1. And what I have here is a portfolio that contains parts 1 and 2 that you can find in full when you order Psychic Revolution Volume 1 from TikTok Shop. I still have plenty of copies of available, and there's still time to get that exclusive gift when you order. So I started creating this comic about 10 years ago. The actual idea came much earlier than that. Couldn't find the words. I was like trying to think about it. Drew a blank for a second there. But this is the process of when I created this book. So everything I've done is in pencil. And then I scanned it, made it into blue line, and just made copies of that blue line to ink over. So when I first did the first 10 pages, which is the first part of the book, I initially did do the borders, as you can see here. But it didn't really work out the way I thought it would, because I would have to have done it all over again anyway later on. So this is the first page of Psychic Revolution, but this is actually the first page that I drew right here. See if I can zoom in a little bit. Forgive the glare, but that's pretty much the first book. The first page that I drew. And it was just something that kind of popped into my head. I really didn't plan it too far ahead. Just something that I did in the moment. And right here is the side-by-side with the inks. So my approach when I was inking this, I was using just graphic pens like Faber-Castell pens, the pigment pens, my mistake. And I was trying to keep it as simple as possible. I'm not very good with backgrounds, so in my mind I was like, all right, I'll do the backgrounds in Photoshop. It'll make everything look a lot cleaner. And that's pretty much how I went about it. Like, I don't have the actual final pages in these portfolio books. This is just how I put everything. It's just pencil and ink side by side, and it's just to preserve the pages and to also for me to look back to see how far I've come in creating this story and how my art style for this book actually evolved little by little as I was doing this. So nothing too crazy. It's just going through various pages. And personally, I believe that as I was doing this, I was getting a lot more confident in my line work, and I was taking more chances, trying to be a little bit more dynamic. Now, one of the things about the way I draw is I try not to overdo dynamic poses or dynamic pages too much, because sometimes I feel that that's too much flash over the substance of the story. I prefer for everybody to have a good idea of what's going on, even if there's no words on the page. And speaking of words on the page, you're going to notice on the pencil side, if you can see it, I do have some text on it. Again, sorry for the glare. It's really hard to adjust this light. But as I went further into this book, I decided to ink the actual main parts of it, and then later on in Photoshop I would add the text. So I've been mentioning Photoshop several times. That was my go-to app when I was creating this book. I switched to Sketchbook Pro later on when I started doing everything in digital ink, but parts 1 through 5, which actually is all in the first volume, was done in this format: pencil, ink, and then things done in Photoshop. I think you probably see the edge of my Cintiq tablet on the side. And that's pretty much how the process was. And it was a learning experience for me because I really had no idea what I was doing. I was just learning as I went. I learned how to create the borders. I learned how to do the text bubbles, how to fix it. But as I was doing the book and my style was changing, it was evolving, I realized that the initial stuff that I did wasn't holding up compared to what I was doing a little bit afterward, especially when it came to like the actual dialogue and how I was doing the lettering for certain sound effects. It just wasn't holding up the way it should. So I redid everything. And I was using Sketchbook Pro for digital inking when it came to the continuations parts 6 through the conclusion of the arc. And that's will be in volume 2. Volume 2 is where you're going to see the difference in my art style compared to what you're going to see in volume 1. It's still consistent. It's still, you'll know it's definitely done by me. It's just that I already learned and got a good control of how I was doing the pages, what my process was, and I was able to set up a rhythm and a flow so that way I was able to keep all the pages very consistent. So this is pretty much part 2 that I'm going through right now. I'm just going through it little by little. I know I'm like just babbling on about things, and that's the end of part 2. Now these 2 pages right here, this was actually going to be kind of like the epilogue to volume 1. I drew this one. I kind of liked what it was. It was going to continue on to this one. This was going to be page 1, page 2. Then I was going to start with the story that was like with Aaron flying through the sky. But for some reason, it just didn't fit with what was really going on with the rest. And at this point, when I did these 2 pages, I was more confident in how I was drawing. And it didn't fit the aesthetic that was seen previously. So it would have looked like, oh, this looks really good, really clean, really solid. And then all of a sudden, when you get to page 3, it's like, wait, what happened? The quality dropped. So I had to hold back on actually trying to add these 2 pages. I might throw them in just as like an Easter egg in a later volume, just so you guys can see what the progress was. And right here, I have a couple of thumbnails that I did for the story. It's pretty much was done ballpoint pen on this page. The other one was done in pencil. That's why you can't see it too clear. And that glare, I'm trying to find a way to get that glare out as I'm doing this. And as you can see, it's just pretty much. Oh, finger was in the way. Sorry about that. You can see it's a couple pages, and here's the end. And this is just some doodles, some sketches I did of certain characters. Some might be in the books, some might not be. I'm not too sure, but that's pretty much everything. Thank you guys for sitting through all this. It's going to be a long video, but I appreciate sharing this with you guys. Appreciate any feedback that you might have. And again, Psychic Revolution Volume 1 is on the TikTok shop. You can still buy it. It's still available. And there's still 4 free gifts left for the first buyers. All right. Catch you all on the next one.